waking your brain up. We remember that we remember what is memorable. Some things are immediately memorable. For example, most of us can identify Italy or Australia on a map or globe because they represent a recognizable shape of a boot and face respectively. We find this distinctive what makes it which makes it memorable. We what shape is Belgium, Thailand or Chile? Unless you had a reason to know, you probably don't have a clue. Similarly, most of us might recall that Sir Walter Raleigh allegedly covered a puddle with his cloak to prevent Queen Elizabeth I from muddying her shoes, or that he introduced England to the potato and to tobacco. These are quirky facts. Most of us wouldn't know that he was a major Elizabethan poet and that his exploitation had an important part in the growing colonization of America. These facts don't harbor the same interest and they are not as memorable unless you are a historian. The key to building a memory skills is to make the information you want to retain memorable. In this section, we start to look at how to find patterns and create associations, and in particular, how to use mnemonics. These skills are particular useful for studying, and the section finishes with advice and how to learn and retain information. Why the rote route is dead end. Traditional schooling used the rote learning method of constant repetition to sear facts into children's brain. Classes would chant multiplication tables or alphabet until they were word perfect and appeared to know these facts. However, the problem with rote learning is that it does not foster understanding, so children often can use the information effectively. This is why some children asked which letter is 3 after T have to recite the alphabet from the start, and why a child can chant a times table flawlessly but cannot answer questions using its content. There is no meaning attached to the learning. There is no associations that enable children to understand and use the facts they sing. Make it meaningful. We learn and remember most either when we find the process enjoyable, good tutors make learning fun, or are stimulated by information needing it to pursue a career or a hobby. For example, the more you know about a subject, the more you can learn because you have understanding of what has gone before, and this breeds link and associations as you can find out more. So the information is meaningful and parts of your brain are already storing similar data which you supplement. This exercise illustrates that learning must be meaningful. Nice listing, nasty list. Nice list, nasty list. Write a random list of 10 unrelated words from the dictionary, choosing a new page for each word and selecting it by chance. Eye closed, place your fingers on the page and find the nearest word. Now write a list of 10 words to do with your job or hobbies. Study both lists. Cover them and try to write them out. You are most likely to get reproduce the list relating to your own interest because it has meaning for you, and even though it might not to someone else. Find patterns and association. One way to make information more meaningful is to find patterns or make associations in it. Patterns. Look at the number sequence 3810 or 151 7222 or 429 3136 3843. It is very hard to memorize this until you recognize the pattern. Add 5 and then add 2. All you need them is the starting number 3 and you can recreate the sequence. Obviously, a random sequence is unlikely to have a pattern, but this is a good method for creating memorable number passwords. The method works for words and therefore for letter passwords too. Try memorizing JANALENPTHITOTCBUTWAR. Since it makes no sense, it is extremely difficult to learn because it feels pointless once you know it is created from alternate paired letters of the nursery rhyme Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. It becomes readily memorable. You can trigger the sequence just by thinking Jack, tell me on a Sunday. You can use patterns relating to number to perform an impressive party trick. Start by memorizing the sequence 265, 274, 263, 153. You find it easier to learn it as a 4 3-digit numbers 265, 274, 263, 153. See chunking on pages for this consequence. For this sequence, you can tell people on what day events happens in the year 2000. Such is the day that birthday was, or when Christmas Day fell on the weekend. It works like this: each digit is the date of the first Sunday in the month. The first digit is 2, so 2nd January 2000 was a Sunday. The next digit 6 means the first Sunday is the next month was the 6th February, and so on. Armed with this information, it is simple to count on to find what day of the week any date was. The first Sunday in December was the 3rd. On the Sunday before Christmas Day was the 24th, 3rd, 10th, 17th, 24th, and the Christmas Day was the next day. A Monday, if you have time and inclination, you can create a 12-digit sequence for any year and widen the scope of your trick. Jayawardene and the Tamil Tigers. I stayed with the Indian High Commissioner J. N. Dixit in Colombo when I interviewed President Junius Jayawardene in 1985. Dixit had nobody else living with him in the house, a huge double-storied structure. He was operating from there because India was considered an enemy country by the Sinhalese. Only a week earlier, some extremists among them had burned out Indian shops and houses in the capital to vent their anger against New Delhi. The general belief was that India was assisting the hostile Tamils in the north who were out to carve a separate country, Elam, from Sri Lanka. This was not entirely true because though we armed and trained the Elam supporters, New Delhi was not so foolish as to establish the independent Tamil state in Sri Lanka when the embers for the demand for a sovereign Tamil Nadu in Indian were still smoldering even after more than a decade. The then Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M. Karunanidhi was in constant touch with the Tamil Elam proponents, but only to keep them on his side. He had informed New Delhi that his interests lay in a better deal for the Tamils in Sri Lanka, lest India be swamped by refugees seeking shelter from the Sinhalese bus. What I saw in Colombo left me in no doubt that the burning or demolition of Indian shops and houses had been done meticulously with the connivance of the authorities. In a row of Sinhalese properties, only the Indian shops had been targeted for destruction. I had seen the pattern during communal riots in India, where Muslim and Sikh establishments were destroyed, but not the ones belonging to Hindus next door. The Indians in Colombo were fairly well off. Dixit agreed with me that the Sinhalese were upset with India, but it was a phenomenon which would not last long. He believed that there were no recourse but to face the fact of India's size and might. Dixit was like a hawk. I had watched him working first in Dhaka and later in Islamabad, but it must be said to his credit that he was keen to have good relations with the neighboring countries, although on India's terms. He had a similar attitude towards Sri Lanka. I could also discern in him a soft